Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with a new video. This is my out of this world, in the void decks video. So whatever you guys call this in your comments in my winter decks video, that's what the title is. But since I filmed this not too long afterwards, I don't know what to say. As I mentioned in that video, these were all on the original list of winter decks. So I had 8 in total, and I can show you. See. They're there, with one exception, because I forgot somehow to include the Black Moon astrology in any of these. So when I went to add it in, I was like, oh, wait a minute. All of my astrology decks are here, plus this time deck. And the reason why I included these in the winter, and I still kind of, definitely for these 3, not 100% sure about this one. I don't know how I forgot this one. So, anyway, is because there is a certain detachedness, a coldness to these decks, and seeing them all together, I realized maybe there's a reason why. I'm also filming this in the sign of Pisces. I mean, not in the sign of Pisces, in the Aquarius, which is a little bit detached about the people, for the people, but not wanting to be with the people. My moon is in Aquarius, so, and I feel like sharing all of that information is totally appropriate right now. So, that being said, let's talk about these decks. I mean, the detachedness, obviously, because they're not of this world. There's 4 oracle decks here that, that's what they are, right? So Arcana of Astrology. Yeah, this is the mass market edition by Claire Goodchild. I am very much considering doing some modifications to this deck. Of a type that I've never done before. That is writing on the cards. I have since seen the indie edition, and that's when I knew about this deck, when it was indie. When I first heard about it, and I didn't have the money back then, so I didn't get it until there was mass market available. Gift. This is a gift. It was on my wish list, and somebody got it for me. A family member who knows nothing about these things, but I appreciate it nonetheless. But the indie editions had like keywords, and so there are keywords in the guidebook, but there are several keywords in the guidebook. I wish this had keywords as well. I think that's the only thing I'm sort of meh about. This is the astrology deck that I wanted for the longest. Even though I use this less than the Black Moon astrology now that I have them. I got that one first, but visually I do like this better. It's more like flashcards, kinda. But I like the simplicity of just looking at the planet or the constellation or the glyph of the asteroid, whatever have you. And this is a good deck if you're studying astrology, yada yada yada. And while I still am, I'm kind of mostly beyond these. Most of these cards. Not the asteroids, though. I appreciate that there is an ascendant card in here as well. But yeah, just being about the planets and the stars, the luminaries, the asteroids, makes it seem a little bit further away, a little detached, that little bit omniscient, looking down on the world rather than being of it, where most of my oracle and tarot cards are. Like even the oracles, the fairy decks, they're very earthy. So they're not human feeling. There's an otherness to them, but it's still earth, if that makes sense. This is not. However, this is probably the most comforting of these decks because the background is this like cream color. Somehow that works. I don't know why, but it does. And I appreciate it. So yeah, these is the Arcana of Astrology. The reason why the keywords, and I, really wish they were there, is because I didn't want these decks just to study astrology. I want to use them as oracle cards. And it's, harder when I'm just looking at, the shape of the planet and nothing else. There's a lot of great information in here. And there's in astrology and inner reading. And so you can obviously use it as for reading, not just for studying astrology or giving clients a visual that's not just a natal chart or any kind of chart for an astrology reading. But yeah, so keywords are down here, and yeah, the muse, the guide, the scorpion, I don't need that for that one, the reaper. So the next deck is the Black Moon Astrology cards by Susan Shepard. This I got at a thrift store. I've been wanting an astrology deck for the longest, and I just couldn't get my hands on. Oh, I didn't realize I still had the price sticker back here. I came across these cards for $7, and I was like, well, get it. It wasn't like sealed or anything, so I could look at them. And this is one of the few decks I've modified. So this is what the cards originally looked like. They had this thick white border. I have a video of me modifying it. They're huge cards. And again, I don't have small hands. They were bigger than this. So I was like, I thought the white borders were nonsense. I usually have strong feelings about such things. And thank God for the many people who post about cutting off borders, because I had half of the materials already. And I'd be wondering. So I got this before Arcana of Astrology. And you might be wondering, well, why? Because I still liked the images visually of the other cards. Like, those are prettier. However, these are really grown on me. Also, this has aspects and elements, the North and South Node, some important other astrological things, so they're not exactly the same. There's overlap, like they both have the houses, they both have the planets, they both have the signs, but there's other cards that they don't have. So I appreciate that. I also like these have the keywords. This is a kind of art manipulation, I guess, using like maybe NASA or other astronomy images plus artwork about the signs, the glyphs, what do you call them? Statues for the various deities that some of these signs and planets are named after, to give you historical and mythological context. So I think visually there's more to draw from in this deck than the other. This definitely more detached, because in every card there's this backdrop of the stars, the sky, space is not a vacuum, but it's this vast unexplored thing that we don't fully understand. And another reason why this deck I originally included with the winter decks is because there's that cold, detached, like I said, away from it all, separate, looking down from above, sky god feel for this deck. And before I got this, I would have said collage decks are not my thing, but this was the first one, really, and it's the digital collage. I can't say I'm like, these are the most beautiful cards. They do look better without the white borders, though, and like I said, having more things on a card definitely gives me more to work with intuitively, and the keywords are there. But I still think I would like this deck more than Arcana of Astrology, even if the keywords weren't there, because there's more visually to work with. And I've learned over the years that I prefer that. So this has somewhat of a similar feel to the Thoth Tarot because of all of these things on it that I can pull from. And there's a similar stuff with there, and the Thoth is more obviously influenced by the esoteric and astrology, astronomy, mythology, all of that stuff, and so is this. So that is the Black Moon astrology cards. They were not as big as this box, but they were bigger. Next, I have the Moonology Oracle cards. The other, like, astrology deck I really wanted for the longest time, other than Arcana of Astrology, and I got it. This, yes, okay. It's by Yasmin Boland, and it's focused on the moon. So, I got this after the other two. And again, you might be like, well, how many of these decks do you need? Not many, but this one is focused on the moon, and if you know, the moon has many phases. So the Arcana of Astrology has 8 phases of the moon. The Black Moon Astrology only has one. The moon card, I think. It also has the Void of Course Moon, which the Arcana of Astrology does not have. And so this gives me all of the full moons, the 13 full moons in each sign of the zodiac, the void moon, the 8 phases of the moon, the north and south node for some reason or other, and moon in more of an astrological sense being fixed, cardinal, or mutable, and also all of the full moons. I mean, all of the new moons or dark moons, and in the 12 signs of the zodiac. There's another version of this, or another deck, Moonology Affirmations or something. I'll put it on the screen because I can't remember the exact name. And I know people are like, they have preferences, but I don't. I've looked at them and I don't notice the difference. But okay, so here's a full moon in Capricorn and a new moon in Capricorn. And then it also has a phrase to work from. There's more in the guidebooks, of course, but I've done a walkthrough of this, so you can go look at that. Just different color moons with a glyph of the sign or something else on them. Nothing too crazy, and I appreciate that. Honestly, it'd be nice if we had decks for the other planets kind of like this, but this is a little more grounded. You see in some of the cards, like the Earth, we're looking up at the moon. And you don't necessarily feel like you're floating in space in this one most of the time. So the kind of astronomer, astrologer perspective. So yeah, a little more grounded. And then I think the cardstock is nice and soft. This is a larger deck, but it's an oracle deck, so not too weird that it's larger. Honestly, the odd one is the next one. So this one is different because it's not an astrology deck. This is My Only Time Will Tell Oracle by Jessica Bott, aka The Cracked Amethyst. This is an indie deck. The Moonology cards I have are the mass market, didn't mention. This is an indie deck, and it's out of print. This is the first edition, I believe. I was interested, and back then I hadn't learned about reading about timing with astrology, with tarot cards. So saw this deck, I was like, why not? So this is about time, a deck that is sure to know when. And there's no guidebook. I don't use this that much, but I want to use it more. And I have been using it a little bit so far this season. It's very detached. There are no people in this. This is just like light displays. And I forget how they said they did this, but yeah, and then just very simply some sort of saying about time. You get like times of day, times of the year, like the months and things like that, but you also get just like sayings when the winds change. Hey, as I was saying, I didn't know much about how people would use tarot and timing. So I thought this would be helpful, and then I shortly learned. I was like, oh, well then I don't know what I'm going to use this for. So it's been chilling in the back of my deck storage for many years. I'll take it out for pictures because I think it's a beautiful deck, but it's also very detached. There's not much going on here, but the light and therefore the color. So this was digitally created as well, so it's not painted color, that's why I keep saying light. And so that gives different tones to this, right? So I would say this is like a cool card and this is a warm card because of the color palette. Two great examples. This is my favorite card. 3 years, 11 days, 8 hours, and 6 seconds. Like, just a random time frame. And it's the longest one. And because it's my favorite, it's gotten beaten up being out and about. But yeah, this kind of like electronic light color prism type thing makes it, again, very detached. Even the warm colored ones seem not of this world. In a jiffy, tea time. Sometime this year. That's why this feels like not a void, because there's not really darkness. There's not a lot of black in this deck either. Or white. So I wouldn't say in a void, but it could be any time. If that makes sense. Any place, anywhere. And it's just different. This deck can be very cheeky. Here's one with some black in it, and it's appropriate at midnight. Here's next equinox. I very much appreciate this existence, and I was like, I just need to remember what I originally wanted it for, not just to be a companion to tarot decks to like give people timing or whatever. But I'm just gonna move on with my life and use this cheeky deck. It's fun. Yeah. It's not useless though. But yeah, like I said, it's out of print, unfortunately, so there are no more. That is my last deck. It's just so very not human. Though we created time. Time is a construct. Like, we separate the days and whatnot. And the seasons and calendars and clocks and all of that stuff to micromanage our lives, into smaller boxes that are easier to deal with. And we use not only time to do this, but, you know, the planets. And in the solar system, we use the gods, our spiritual practices, and the stars, the luminaries, the sun and the moon, and when we were born, and when things began, and when they will end. All of that is contained within these decks in some way, shape, or form. And that is somehow otherworldly and separate. It's also a little cerebral, and like that has a cool, cold, detached feeling to it, and that's why I kind of consider these winter decks, but they're not really. They kind of exist beyond seasons. Like, they have that as above, where all of the seasonal decks are so below, coming from the matter. And these are kind of intangible, if that makes sense. So, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming. Hint, 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 hint. Hint, hint. If I can find my phone. I have another series that I want to do over the course of the year. And as far as I'm aware, these will definitely only be 4. Maybe 5. No, now I'm thinking about that. Definitely could be 5. The next series I'm thinking about doing is elemental decks. So I have some lists already made up, and I'm not sure what element we'll start with. And right now I only have 4 Western elements, but maybe I'll come up with a 5th element, or I'll go crazy and like think of the Chinese or Eastern elements, and want some metal and whatnot in there. We'll see how it goes. And I will continue to just talk about tarot and oracle cards and do deck studies from here on out. So look forward to those. Guys, links in the description to everything I've mentioned here, the decks, and links in the description to ways you can help and find out what's going on with the genocide of the people of Palestine. The time of filming this, I'm hanging on to hope that things can change, because so far this is going exactly how it looked to be the plan of Israel the whole time. Like, just get them off the land, destroy everything, and then they can't come back because there are less Palestinian people and the rest of the world that will not take up the cause to let them stay where they have been living, and then we just naturally take over all of this empty land. Too bad, so sad, but we benefit anyway. Links in the description for you to come to your own conclusion, reading about the history and the genocide and following those who are currently living through it, and ways you can help. Links also for what has been going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the mines for cobalt, and how other countries and industries and businesses are benefiting from this continued genocide of the people of Congo and the continued enslavement of the people of Congo. So how long has this been going on, and what you can do to help as well? Linked in the description. Do check them out and share them where you can. It's always like, how can I talk about other shit after that? There are also links to a 10% off discount code to my Etsy shop, where I make all natural bath and body products, and I offer readings from tarot and oracle cards, and soon astrology readings. That's later this year. There's also a new link to my Patreon account. If you would like to be a patron or a member of my channel and support me, but also get perks, more journal pages for your grimoire or Book of Shadow, and if you would like to be a tester for new and up and coming products, you can join for that as well. More details in the description down below. Thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.